This is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening everyone and welcome to Southern Cross News. Every Tasmanian under the age of 21 will soon be offered a free vaccination against meningococcal strains A, C, W and Y. The news comes following mounting public pressure on the government to expand its immunisation program after 5 cases of the disease were reported this month.
Health officials are preparing to roll out 100,000 free meningococcal vaccines over the next 3 months.
By vaccinating this large cohort of Tasmanian children will also contribute to protecting the wider community who won't be at risk of spread of infection from these children.
Anyone born after August 1, 1997 is eligible. The vaccine providing protection against strains A, C, W and Y, but not B.
The government recognises the public concern around the whole of this issue and will continue to consider coverage for all vaccine preventable strains.
It comes after 5 Tasmanians contracted the disease within 2 weeks, 4 having the W strain. Vaccines will be provided by GPs, also by pharmacists for children over 10.
Every day we get dozens and dozens of calls. We actually have an extra receptionist just to take calls with regards to meningococcal disease. Again, right now we don't know when we actually get a supply of the free vaccines for our patients.
The first stage of the expanded program will be rolled out here in Hobart's northern suburbs, where 3 of the 5 cases of meningococcal occurred. It will then be extended across the state in coming months.
It's also really important that the rest of the community who aren't covered by the free vaccination program don't become complacent. Anyone at any age is at risk of contracting meningococcal disease, and it does act really quickly.
Many welcomed the news, but others say more was needed and sooner.
The announcement, for example, today just came out of nowhere. There's been poor preparation and poor communication in general.
It's not good enough that it took the Minister 5 days after returning from his 2 weeks annual leave to front Tasmanians at all with any information, and that when he did, he had very little to say.
Michelle WISBEY, Southern Cross News.
Staying in Braddon, and both the Prime Minister and Labor leader have made their final pitch to voters ahead of Saturday's crucial by-election. Business was again at the front of the government's campaign, while Labor is maintaining its attacks against Brett Whiteley's record on health.
Taking to the stage again in the northwest, Malcolm Turnbull didn't mind repeating himself on jobs policy.
Some people said you're flogging a dead horse. Well, we thought, if the horse is dead, it won't mind the flogging.
And flogging the Labor leader when it comes to business.
Who is waging a war on business. He's waging a war on enterprise.
Tasmania's Chamber of Commerce and Industry has rated Liberal Brett Whiteley ahead of Labor's Justine Kay on its scorecard on issues such as penalty rate cuts and company tax cuts. Labor says the answer to helping business is to keep young workers from sailing interstate.
What the employers want in Tassie is they want to encourage the young people when they finish school to look at apprenticeships, to look at getting qualifications here in Tasmania.
At least one business owner had more of an appetite for the government. The Prime Minister was busy rubbing shoulders with celebrity chef Ben Milbourne, promising the GST recipe for Tasmania won't be affected by the election spending in Braddon.
Under the reforms to GST, Tasmania, and indeed every state and territory, will be better off, and we're doing that by providing additional Commonwealth funding, and that's not going to be netted off against other Commonwealth funding.
2 months of heavy campaigning has now come down to just 2 days, with both sides still looking neck and neck. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull and Bill Shorten will be hoping today's final sales pitch will be enough to sway voters. Sean McComish, Southern Cross News.
The state government is offering a compromise over the future of a disused rail line between Launceston and Scottsdale. It's offering most of the corridor to a cycling track, with the remaining 21 kilometres to be offered to a heritage rail group.
Since 2004, this 64-kilometre stretch of rail from the outskirts of Launceston to Scottsdale has sat unused. 2 projects emerging to take over the scenic and atmospheric corridor. Now the state government is giving the go-ahead to both, in part.
I think it's a very sensible compromise. It gives both groups an opportunity to construct a tourism venture that hopefully for both groups will be successful.
Most of the line would go to the Dorset Council's plan for a cycling rail trail from Scottsdale to Lilydale Falls, while a heritage rail would be offered an initial stage from Lilydale to Turner's Marsh, and if that's successful, a second stage to Coldwater Creek.
We're happy to make a start on what we wanted and to be recognised by the state government that we are a viable tourist adventure, but we still want to assist the campaign to get more of the line.
Advocates for the heritage rail say it would boost tourism in the area, but a Treasury report released today questioned the costs of the project, saying there's significant financial risks for complying with national rail safety regulations and insurance.
We still want to push the fight because it has restricted our business proposal a fair bit, quite a lot, and obviously it restricts our chances what we can do with the tourism and community up the northeast.
If they are ultimately successful on this announcement allows them to potentially get access to the live Tasrail line from Launceston to Georgetown.
Council says it will get on with the cycling rail trail project as soon as it can, with a possible development application next month. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
A wheelchair-bound man is devastated tonight after his 10-week-old puppy was allegedly stolen from his backyard earlier this week. His family is pleading with whoever was involved to bring Fred Goodluck's closest companion home.
Holding his beloved puppy's favourite toy, Fred Goodluck is shattered after little Roxy was allegedly stolen from his yard at Primrose Sands.
She's a beautiful little puppy and I love her to bits.
4 years ago, a stroke left him wheelchair-bound and the family dog was too much for calm companionship. So Fred sold his car and other belongings and saved for a type of French Mastiff to be by his side.
Had a pretty hard time and she's there to fill in the gap and to be with me.
When Fred came back from his weekly outing at the men's shed this Tuesday, Roxy wasn't there. Unusually, Sully was in the front yard, despite 2 fences blocking the way.
Oh, well, it's got to be someone that knows that I go out of the Tuesday, because normally when I'm home she's with me. She's not anywhere else.
While Fred's family were too upset to speak on camera today, they're pleading with the dog napper to return Roxy to her distraught owner or to contact police.
And I just need my dog back. Please, can you bring her home?
Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
Southwood Fibre has tonight backed away from a controversial plan to build a wood chip export facility at Dover. The company's CEO, James Neville-Smith, has announced the proposal will be withdrawn after failing to reach an agreement with Tassal, which has a salmon lease in the same area. The $42 million proposal drew extensive criticism from the local community, many raising concerns about potential damage to tourism and the environment. Southwood Fibre said ultimately issues between the salmon and forest industries could not be resolved. A massive taste test is underway as products go under the microscope at the Royal Hobart Fine Food Awards. Judges are scrutinising a range of creations to determine the winners of sought-after medals.
Judges sniffing out the best as the Royal Hobart Fine Food Awards get underway.
That one's actually quite pleasant.
This team has the envious job of testing chocolate and confectionery, grading sweets with interesting flavours like pumpkin, tea and freeze-dried fruit.
We're looking at presentation, how well they have been made, the flavours, the texture, because a lot of the sensation with chocolate is the way it melts in your mouth.
Judges scrutinising a range of products across 18 categories and 469 classes.
We have strict criteria that we have to work through, but it's a top-down approach, so everyone starts with 100 and we just mark off points as we go. That cut down is throwing me.
Jenny Benbow from Pigeonhole Bakers is one of the judges for the bread section. As well as deciding medals, she'll also give valuable feedback.
The competitions where they actually sent you back some criteria and told you this is where you did really well, this is where you need improvement, were a lot better than the ones where you just didn't hear anything.
Most trophies will be announced on Sunday. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
9 veterans have been posthumously honoured for their service in World War I at the Headstone project's first ceremony in Launceston. In particular, today's ceremony shining a light on the role of Indigenous soldiers who put their lives on the line.
Remembering those who made the ultimate sacrifice, 9 Tasmanian soldiers finally recognised for their service in the First World War as part of the Headstone project.
Previous to this, their graves were unmarked, and now they have a slab on them with a plaque that marks their last resting place.
Corporal Brad Maynard says it's an honour to celebrate the memory of his great-grandfather.
It's sort of something we've been wanting for a while. We knew that he was buried out here, but didn't know the exact location.
James Maynard volunteered for enlistment at the age of 21. When he was accepted, he was assigned to the 12th Battalion.
Went away to World War I with a few of his cousins and brothers. Served overseas, he got injured a couple of times, and then returned to Cape Barren Island where he married after that.
It's the first time the service was held in Launceston, with all those honoured hailing from the state's north.
Till now we have been working in Hobart at Canelian Bay, so this is our first time here.
Also highlighted today the role of Indigenous soldiers, with 3 veterans from Cape Barren Island included in today's service.
Knowing the history that our ancestors and elders fought in World War I, like, what an honour.
Back in World War I days and the earlier years, they were overlooked, but they obviously wanted to volunteer and fight for their country.
The project has dedicated over 300 headstones to commemorate Tasmanian veterans. Judy Augustine, Southern Cross News.
Cadbury and the Hobart Hurricanes have today announced a major sponsorship deal. The men's and women's Big Bash teams will now be sporting the Confectionery brand on their playing shirts, and Blunston Arena will have its own Cadbury Hill.
The sponsorship is 2 years with an option for a third. It involves all of cricket, so the Hurricanes as well as Cricket Tasmania, so men and women's programs, and community cricket too.
The extent to which actually we both have shared a love for the colour purple just kind of cemented that partnership, I guess.
Nick Cummins gave a coy smile when asked what the deal was worth. It's being touted as the largest swimming event ever held in the state, with 800 students from around the country converging on the Hobart Aquatic Centre for day 1 of the School Sport Australia Swimming Championships.
Every state and territory is represented. We've got students that have come from as far as south as Albany in Western Australia, from Darwin, from Cairns.
Yeah, it's really good. I've been to one in Adelaide before, but it's good to have it here. You know, just good for swimming in Tasmania and the sport overall.
More than 1,000 national medals will be up for grabs over the 5-day event. A Tasmanian men's shed has unveiled its new expansion after growing numbers created a greater demand on the space. Organisers say the shed in Kings Meadows is a safe place for men to gather where they can talk and create.
It's really a good place for the men to let their hair down and have a chat. They don't have to come and work. They're all volunteers. Nobody gets paid, and we work very well together.
40% of the funds for the expansion was provided by the federal government, with the remainder from community fundraising. Today marks 50 years since the last trolley bus operated in Launceston. This bus is currently not on display, but is being housed as part of a collection at QV Mag.
They didn't run for long. They were quite a big bus, really, with 2 poles, and they took up a lot of area on the roadways.
The transportation system took over from tramways in 1952, but was scrapped in '68 because it was no longer viable.
Lauderdale coach Darren Winter has slammed the TSL's tribunal system, claiming clubs have lost faith in the process. Winter also accusing the competition's power brokers of flat out ignoring several requests for an overhaul. He's been considered the most controversial figure in the TSL for many years, and today Darren Winter once again lived up to the reputation.
The operations department doesn't seem to want to fix it, and they haven't done anything about it. The clubs have asked for them over and over in operations meetings. Nothing's happened. And if I said too much there, probably, but who cares?
Winter claiming his club chose not to appeal Tutai Havea's 1-week suspension for rough conduct during last weekend's loss to Launceston because their case would only fall on deaf ears.
He was pretty disappointed that we didn't take it to the tribunal. The inconsistency at the tribunal concerns us greatly, as it does everybody.
And in a big blow to the Southern Bombers' premiership hopes, key defender and forward Ben McGuinness is likely to miss the rest of the year due to a broken thumb as the side prepares to bounce back this Saturday against the Tigers.
We rate the Tigers pretty highly this week with the way they can run and carry, so you know, if we allow them to do that, we'll be in a bit of strife.
The Kingborough boys will be playing purely for pride, with the coach conceding in his own unique way that finals are out of reach.
I think if we win each game by about 200 and everyone above us have draws, I think we can make it.
To netball now, and after going down to Cripps last time they met, the Cavaliers are hoping to turn the tables when the sides clash this weekend. Goal shooter Megan Harper says the team needs to utilise their speed to get the upper hand.
We matched up quite well against Cripps, so we sort of said this week we need to keep the ball out of the air because they like to, their defence likes to come and hunt.
Meanwhile, the Northern Hawks will look a little different on the court this weekend. They'll be sporting pink when they take on Corana to raise funds for breast cancer.
All about raising awareness and trying to get the word out there. It's something that's very close to our hearts, especially at Hawks.
The team kits will be auctioned off after the match.
Good evening. Lyawini and Fingal dropped to -2 overnight to be our low. The population centre's a mixture of 13s and 14s, while our top today was 15 degrees at St Helens and Friendly Beaches. Bit of rain overnight. North Boomerang had 25 millimetres and followed up today with 7. Smithton 14 degrees. Everywhere else seemed to be 13, apart from Ooze with 12, Grove on 11 and Lyawini with a high of 6. Low-level clouds streamed over the state today, bringing those showers to the west and south. The speckled cloud over our region showing the location of a cold air mass. Low cloud covers much of Victoria and southern New South Wales. A significant front is producing a thick band of cloud over southern WA and South Australia. Tomorrow, a trough will be near our west coast. A front approaches Western Australia. Ridges of high pressure over the mainland split by another trough. Winds northwesterly and maybe turning westerly later in the day at 15 to 25 knots, increasing to 30 knots over the west and south and later over the north. A full swing to the west by late afternoon with swells to 3 metres. A gale warning for waters between South East Cape and Low Rocky Point. A strong wind warning from Tasman Island to South East Cape and from Low Rocky Point to St Helens Point. The wind's still blowing, and for Hobart tomorrow a shower or two on the way. 14 the top, 13 for Huonville with a shower, Campania the same and 15 degrees. Launceston an afternoon shower as the trough moves over. 14 the top, 14 for Devonport, an afternoon shower as well for Georgetown. And for Burnie, a shower or two. 14 the maximum, 13 for Strawn, a shower or two from Wynyard with 14 the top as well. In the east tomorrow, partly cloudy. St Helens 15, maybe an afternoon shower for Swansea, 13 the top for Port Arthur. To the weekend now, and on Saturday showers over the west and far south, extending to the north by evening. An early shower clearing from the south on Sunday, so fine for the Kangaroos' big game against the west coast, and showers continuing over the west and north though. And on Monday, showers across the state with snow to 800 metres. Showers for Perth tomorrow, 18 degrees there. Mostly sunny weather forecast for Adelaide and Melbourne, a morning frost for Canberra and fine, stable weather for the remaining centres. And partly cloudy conditions. Hobart 9 degrees at the moment, 9 degrees also in Launceston, partly cloudy in Devonport and 10. Great to see Tom Cooper back on the set after his career-changing surgery, Joe. One thing he did forget was to have a haircut.
You didn't like it, did you, Murph? Oh well, we'll see what we can do. That's all from the news team for now. Thanks for your company. See you a bit later with updates. Bye-bye.